So right now we'll actually bring up our advisor, Dee Dee Sam, and she'll be speaking about 7 parent guidelines for helping teens navigate today's technology.
I've been the advisor to these great teens for a year and a half now. I'm also a marriage and family therapist, and I'm the mother of Catherine Sam. So I'm here to talk about guidelines, but we're running out of time, and I want to be really sensitive. So I'm going to go through it really fast. We do have a handout. And so I think that allows, and also the kids have all touched on anything that I would want to say. But I want to start out with a proverb, one of my favorite proverbs for parents, and that is Proverbs 29:17, that says, "Discipline your children, and they will give you peace. They will bring you the delights of your desire." Is that right? Yeah. And it's wonderful. So it's a wonderful verse to put your hope in as your children grow. Because when they become teenagers, that peace seems to be a little bit harder to find sometimes. And that's so true around technology. So the word discipline in this scripture doesn't mean what is that?
Reprimand.
Like reprimand or punish. Discipline in this case means training. Training of your kids, it comes from disciple, the students of Christ, right? So discipline means to train up your kids. And so how do you train up your teenagers around technology? It's so difficult because our kids grew up with, with speedy internet, Wi-Fi, tablets, power smartphones. I mean, that's what they grew into. So the way they use and see and perceive technology is really, really different than us. Because when we were their age, we were lucky if we had a microwave in our home, right? So the world has changed amazingly, and it's their world when it comes to technology. And if we want to help train them up in their world, we have to come into their world. So coming to a presentation like this and hearing what teens are saying is a great first step. So the first thing I want to talk about is connecting with your kids, and I think that's been a current theme throughout every part of our presentation, to understand your kids. So I want to just take this time to talk about and give you some insight from a therapist's perspective or a professional's perspective. Right now, the teens in high school, between the ages of 14 and 18, are in a place developmentally where they are individuating. Individuating means that they are becoming individuals. What that means is that they are looking at their parents and saying, "Wow, I'm not them. Well, who am I?" And so this is their time when they start exploring who are they as individuals. And this is a time, and it's a healthy part of their life, where they start exploring values, ideas, opinions, attitudes, to find out who they are. And the Facebook, for example, is a wonderful venue, a wonderful platform for that. Because our teens go on Facebook and they have total control. They own their Facebook. They write out, they design their timelines, they pick their friend groups, they post the profiles, and they do it all by themselves. So this is a place where they can feel safe because they're in control. And then they post things, what's called the status, and they get immediate feedback from their friend group. So for example, if a teen posts something that's like, they'll say something, they get no likes and no responses, they'll say, "Okay, that was a bust, I'll do something else," and they can change directions, try something else. Or a good example would be if they get a haircut over the weekend. The first thing they'll do is post the picture. And if they get a bunch of likes, and they get a bunch of comments from their friends saying, "Wow, that's a great look on you," Monday morning, they go to school feeling much better about themselves, and they have the confidence that they made the right choice in their haircut. So Facebook is a really important thing for them. And as parents, we just really need to be sensitive about what Facebook means to them. So the second point is to be educated. And that's, coming to a presentation like this is key. Talking to your students is key and being educated. But there's also a lot of wonderful websites on the internet. FocusOnTheFamily.org has wonderful guidelines for the internet. There's also netsmarts.org. There's all kinds of beautiful websites. So I have a website. My website is delindasamp.com, and I think it's on our handout. And at my website, I have a parent resource page, and on that resource page, I list links to all these wonderful resources. They give you ideas and videos and testimonials to help parents talk to their teens about the internet. They even have guidelines and handouts and even contracts that you can print out while you're sitting down and talking. So that's the other thing that I think has been a key in tonight's presentation. All the kids have said, sit down and talk with your teen. And sometimes it leads to a contract, where you can sign the contract about how you're going to use technology in your home, where everyone is on the same page. That's going to bring peace to your household. So the third point is to be a role model. That's kind of, don't really have to talk too much about that, but, if your child's talking to you and your phone rings and you answer it and stop the conversation, what does that say, right? So we want to model for our kids responsible use of technology. Okay, and the fourth thing that I want to talk about is that the internet, you just need to have the awareness that the internet is an adult, it's an adult world. It was created by adults for adults. Our kids are really just, second thought, really, because there's well over 50,000 websites for adults on the internet, and it's so easy to gain access to those websites. So there's things that you can do, parent controls, and you need to know how to use those parent controls. There's software like NetNanny that you can get, and there's even accountability services like Covenant Eyes that you can install on all your family devices, all the devices in your family. So internet porn is the new drug of the world today, and it's rapidly growing. And it's something that we parents have to totally be aware of. And so I just would like to talk about a verse, or it's a quote that I use in my practice a lot, and that is that if you're involved in internet porn, you tend to, if you're having any internet problems on the internet with internet addiction, I'm trying to be modest with how I say this, but if you have an internet addiction, then it's really important to talk to somebody about it, because Satan snares you in your secrets, and Satan gains a stronghold in your life in your silence. But if you break that silence, you gain freedom. Okay? So just if you feel like, if you're a teenager and you're feeling, and there's a difference between secrets and privacy. Secrets are when you don't want to tell anyone because you feel shameful. You know it's wrong. Privacy is just when you want privacy. So if you're going down the path that you shouldn't be going down, please talk to somebody. Your parents or a teacher. These are people that love you and want the best for you. They're not there to judge you. They're there to help you make your life right and make your life as good as possible. Okay, so the other four things that I want to just quickly go through, or the other three things, is that one easy way to kind of have control over your computer and computer use, kind of physical accountability, is to keep your internet devices, laptops and iPads out in the open, in the family room and in the living room, where your kids can be using these things when you're walking around, when the family's around, so they don't have a situation where they can get into trouble. Don't have your computers in the garage or in the back den where no one goes to. Don't allow your kids, especially your younger kids, to have access to internet for hours and hours at a time when they're uninterrupted and private, because that's when kids get in trouble. So keep your devices out in the open. You can even put curfews on your devices by having your kids turn off all devices at 11 o'clock. You can have the charging station on the dining room table where everyone charges their devices at night, so everything's out there in the open. Okay, and then something that's also related, and I'm glad a lot of you have younger kids, this is for the younger kids. Younger kids want those devices just as much as the older kids. But if you are in middle school or elementary school, you absolutely don't need to have access to the internet when you're away from home. So if you have devices like that for your kids, have them play with them at home, where you can supervise them. Okay, and the last guideline is to spend time with your family, which is also a current theme today. But spend time have family time away from the internet. So when like after church, it's a great time to go off and have adventures with your family. And we live in such an amazing area, really. You can go to Villa Montalvo and go biking, or Basona and go kayaking, and go over the hill to the beach. But spend this time with family and have a rule that you're not going to be texting or answering your telephone during this time, answering your cell phones, I'm sorry. And then also you can have one-on-one time with your family, like Emily was saying. Like on Fridays, go pick your child up after school and go play, go play laser tag with them, or go out for lunch with them. And just make it a weekly thing that you're having one-on-one time with your family, with your teen. Okay? So the gap is that technology is a world away from what our worlds were when we were their age, and it has created a huge communication gap. The only way to bridge that gap is for us to go to them. I mean, most of our life we're trying to train up our kids to come into our world, because we think, we know more about the world, but really when it comes to technology, they actually know more than we do about technology a lot of the time. So we need to meet them where they're at with technology, to understand where they're coming from, and to respect them and understand and trust them, and to affirm them, and understand that they're trying to individuate, trying to become their own individuals. So affirming them and loving them. Okay? So with that, I'll give it back to you.